Hello and a very warm welcome to Rajya Sabha television. You're watching the news tonight with me, Frank Razan Pereira. Here are the headlines. Jammu and Kashmir police arrest one suspect in connection with the killing of senior journalist Shujat Bukhari, and two of his PSOs seek public's help in identifying 3 bike riding suspects after releasing 2 pictures on Twitter. Last rites of Bukhari performed in Srinagar. Digital India initiative is a war against touts and middlemen, says Prime Minister Narendra Modi. Tells beneficiaries of various government efforts that it checked black money while creating many jobs in small towns and rural areas. Maulana Fazlullah, the leader of Tehreek-e-Taliban Pakistan, killed in Afghanistan's Kunar province, also known as Mullah Radio. Fazlullah allegedly shot Malala Yousafzai, masterminded the massacre of over 150 people at a Peshawar school in 2014. Crushing blow for Test debutants. Afghanistan in Bengaluru replying to India's first innings score of 474 runs. Visitors lose by an innings and 262 runs. Team India creates record, bags 20 wickets in a day for the first time. Wraps up match in just 2 days for only the 21st time in the history of the game. And in the FIFA World Cup, Jose Jimenez scores in the 89th minute to help Uruguay win 1-0 against Egypt, who were without their star player Mohamed Salah. Match between Morocco and Iran underway. Euro 2016 winners Portugal will clash with Spain next. Well, Prime Minister Narendra Modi interacted with beneficiaries of the government's Digital India program. Addressing the beneficiaries, he said the initiative is creating a group of entrepreneurs in rural India. He also said that the program was a fight against touts and middlemen.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi on Thursday called Digital India a war against touts and middlemen. Interacting with beneficiaries of the Digital India program through the Narendra Modi app, he said the initiative is helping check black money and black marketing while creating job opportunities in small towns and rural areas. He also warned people against rumors that money is not safe when used digitally.
और एक प्रकार से ये एक ऐसी लड़ाई है जो दलाली बनाम डिजिटल इंडिया, दलाली को रोकने का काम डिजिटल इंडिया कर रहा है। दलाल परेशान है डिजिटल इंडिया से, हम लोग ताकतवर है डिजिटल इंडिया से। हम हमारे हक की लड़ाई आसानी से लड़ सकते हैं डिजिटल इंडिया से।
Prime Minister Modi said Digital India is about 4 E's: education, employment, entrepreneurship and empowerment to help realize the objective of reform, perform and transform.
देश के हर नागरिक को अधिक से अधिक सुविधाएं अपने घर के पास ही मिल सके, इसके लिए देश भर में कॉमन सर्विस सेंटर CSC नेटवर्क को मजबूत किया जा रहा है।
Beneficiaries also shared their experiences with the Prime Minister.
फाइबर टू होम सर, FTH यानी फाइबर कनेक्शन हमने सर उनके घर पे ही लगाया है सर।
अच्छा।
और जी, और सर वो लड़कियां अपने घर पे ही उस इंटरनेट वाईफाई चौपाल के माध्यम से सर ऑनलाइन स्टडी करती हैं सर और सरकारी परीक्षाओं की तैयारी करती हैं सर।
I must thank you for providing such a wonderful scheme, because of which BPO has started operation in Nagaland. This has given me a huge opportunities to work here in my hometown, which I don't have to migrate from my beautiful city. Earlier, there were very few opportunities. However, this has come as a huge privilege, not only for me, but for many employees as well.
During the interaction, Prime Minister Modi revealed that a network of about 3 lakh common service centers have boosted employment and entrepreneurship opportunities in rural areas. CSCs have provided employment opportunities to over 10 lakh people. Under Rural Digital Literacy Program, the government is training over 6 crore people in basic computer knowledge. Units manufacturing mobile handsets and their components have gone up to 120 now, providing direct and indirect employment to 4.5 lakh people. The Prime Minister also pushed for the use of RuPay, the Indian version of credit debit card, saying it is bringing a revolutionary change in digital payments. He said over 50 crore RuPay cards have been issued in less than 4 years of its launch. With inputs from Anu Diman, Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
Well, with a view to give further boost to India's foreign policy in Central Europe and Latin America, President Ramnath Kovind will leave on an 8-day tour to Greece, Suriname and Cuba on Saturday. Kovind will be the first Indian president to visit Cuba and Suriname. He will also take part in the International Yoga Day there.
President Ramnath Kovind's three-nation visit will start on June 16th from Greece. Other than meeting his counterpart and the Greek leadership, his engagements will include interactions with industry leaders. He will also deliver a lecture on the relations between India and Europe. President Kovind is also scheduled to meet the 12,000-strong Indian diaspora in the country. Suriname will be the next port of call for the president on 19th June. Suriname has a 37% Indian origin population whose ancestors were taken as indentured labor in 1873 for sugarcane plantation.
Suriname, as you know, is a very significant country for India from the diaspora perspective. We have a large Indian diaspora in Suriname. The first arrivals in Suriname were in almost 145 years back. That, incidentally, is being celebrated around the time when the president arrives in the country.
The last leg of the president's journey will be to Cuba on June 22nd, where he will meet his counterpart, President Miguel Diaz-Canel. Cuba and India traditionally have very cordial relations, and its former president Fidel Castro was considered to be very friendly with India. Cuba is strong in biotechnology and healthcare system, and agreements are expected to be signed in these areas. Akhilesh Suman's report for Rajya Sabha TV.
Jammu and Kashmir police on Friday arrested a suspect in connection with the killing of veteran journalist Shujat Bukhari and two of his PSOs. The suspect has been identified as Zubair Qadri. According to state police, Qadri was seen in the video stealing the pistol of the PSO who was shot dead along with Bukhari. The identity of the other three attackers is being ascertained. The police have also formed a special investigation team or SIT to probe the murder.
Special investigation team which has been constituted, in that the DIG Central Kashmir is heading the SIT for the purpose of supervision. We could identify the fourth individual who was seen in the video. Now the suspect has been taken in custody. During the disclosure of that individual, the pistol which was taken out from the scene of the crime, which is available in the video, that has been recovered.
Well, the rising Kashmir editor was laid to rest in his village with thousands of friends and admirers. Despite heavy rain, crowds of villagers, friends and colleagues followed the procession through the streets of the village. Bukhari, who was 52 years of age, was given police protection after an attempt on his life 18 years ago. He was often part of track to diplomacy between India and Pakistan. Well, the Vishwa Hindu Parishad has threatened to launch an agitation against the American Central Intelligence Agency, which reportedly termed it a religious militant organization. Seeking an apology, the VHP called the CIA anti-India in a statement. VHP's General Secretary Surendra Jain said that it's a nationalist group which works for the country. Asserting that the CIA's allegations were baseless and false, Jain said that the CIA has no moral right to lecture it, as it was responsible for creating Osama bin Laden.
एक षड्यंत्र के अंतर्गत है, उनके कुछ निहित स्वार्थ हैं। पिछले दिनों भारत के चर्च ने कुछ पत्र लिखे थे भारत सरकार को डिस्टेबलाइज करने के लिए, भारत को बदनाम करने के लिए। उसके सूत्रधार कौन है ये उस समय समझ में नहीं आ रहा था। अब ध्यान में आ गया, उन सब का सूत्रधार CIA ही है, कोई और नहीं।
In a yearly fact book on each country prepared on June 4th this year, the CIA classified VHP and Bajrang Dal as militant religious outfits and called RSS a nationalist organization. While Hurriyat has been called a separatist outfit, the Mahmood Madani-led Jamiat Ulema Hind has been listed as a religious outfit.
CIA की रिपोर्ट को भी पूरी तरह से खारिज करते हैं। इस तरह की बकवास, इस तरह की रिपोर्ट हमें कहीं से भी स्वीकार नहीं है।
I am not concerned about what the CIA says. We do not like intrusion in our internal affairs in the form of patronizing statements of assessments by outside agencies. However, we have the democratic infrastructure to resolve disputes within India through our own political dialogue.
Well, in other news now, Delhi Chief Minister Arvind Kejriwal and his 3 cabinet ministers continued their sit-in protest at the Lieutenant Governor's office on Friday despite no response from the centre. Arvind Kejriwal also wrote a letter to Prime Minister Narendra Modi to seek his intervention and end the strike by bureaucrats. He also sent a video message through social media. Kejriwal also asked that the AAP's demands for Delhi's full statehood and approval of the proposal for doorstep delivery of rations be met. Well, a steady breeze has slightly improved the Delhi's air pollution levels, but the air quality remained in the severe category for the 4th day in a row. Visibility in the national capital has also remained poor, with the capital city's citizens being given warnings of severe health risks of the outside environment and have been asked to stay indoors. Central Pollution Control Board has asked for all construction activity to be stopped temporarily in the Delhi NCR region. The Air Quality Index, a measurement of the concentration of toxic particulate matter in the air at several places in Delhi, remained over 500. The Indian Met Department, however, said that the strong dust-raising winds is likely to continue over Rajasthan, Punjab, Haryana, Chandigarh and Delhi during the next 24 hours.
पंजाब, हरियाणा, यूपी में भी थंडर स्टॉर्म एक्टिविटी देखने को मिलेगी और ये थंडर स्टॉर्म एक्टिविटी अगले 1 से 2 दिन चलने की उम्मीद है और इस थंडर स्टॉर्म एक्टिविटी के साथ जो हल्की फुल्की बरसात होगी और हवाओं का जो परिवर्तन होगा, तो इन दोनों के मिलने से जो एनसीआर दिल्ली या नॉर्थ वेस्ट इंडिया में जो धूल भरा मौसम बना हुआ है, इसमें कल सुबह से बहुत राहत मिलने की उम्मीद है और ये सामान्य के आसपास में हो जाएगा.
Well, the flood situation in Tripura remains severe. From the past 3 days, 3 people have died, while 40,000 people have been sheltered in 173 relief camps in the state. Local officials said that the water level of Kuwai River is constantly increasing because of the heavy rains. The road connectivity has been completely cut off from surrounding areas. National Disaster Response Force, Assam Rifles and Tripura State Rifles personnel are working for distribution of relief materials and providing medical aids to the flood-hit people. Well, the Met Department has warned of thunderstorm and dust storm accompanied with gusty winds in various parts of Uttar Pradesh over the next 2 days. There is a possibility of rain and thunder showers at isolated places in the state. Lok Sabha Speaker Sumitra Mahajan met with Latvian President Raimons Vajonis on Friday. On a tour to Latvia, Lok Sabha Speaker observed that warm relations between India and Latvia are based on their abiding trust in democratic tradition and continued cooperation at global level. Both sides agreed to enhance economic and cultural ties, especially in the fields of environment, IT and logistics. She appreciated Latvian support to India's bid for permanent membership of the Security Council. She also met the Speaker of Latvian Parliament, Inara Mornis. Well, the Trump administration reconfirmed its intent to rescind the H-4 visa rule on employment authorization to certain spouses of H-1B visa holders. The Trump administration is currently reviewing the H-1B visa policy that it thinks is being misused by companies to replace American workers. The H-1B visa is a non-immigrant visa that allows U.S. companies to employ foreign workers in special occupations, and the H-4 visas are issued to the spouses of H-1B visa holders. The move will have a major impact on Indian women, as a large number of high-skilled professionals are from India. Meanwhile, President Donald Trump has approved a plan to impose tariffs on about $50 billion in Chinese imports, with the move likely to escalate trade tensions between the world's two biggest economies. Trump has long vowed to fulfill his campaign pledge to clamp down on what he considers unfair Chinese trading practices. But his calls could complicate his efforts to maintain China's support in his negotiations with North Korea. Trump met several cabinet members and trade advisors on Thursday and took the decision. Trump has already slapped tariffs on steel and aluminium imports from Canada, Mexico, and European allies. Meanwhile, China has threatened to retaliate with similar measures.
第二，中美之间就经贸问题，包括中美经贸摩擦问题，保持着沟通，也进行了磋商，事实上也取得了一定的进展。如果大家还记得，本月初在中美经贸磋商后，中方曾经发表了有关声明。
Well, joining me for a chat to talk about this is Shubhamoy Bhattacharjee, consulting editor of the Business Standard. Shubhamoy, welcome and thank you for joining us on the program. You know, as far as the trade war between China and the United States is concerned, it seems like it has been revisited yet again, and this is possibly the umpteenth time that this has happened in the recent past. What can we expect?
Well, what to expect, the US president is making it very clear that he's going to push additional tariffs. And in fact, considering that he's done the same thing with his allies, China, I suppose, wouldn't be able to get away. Basically, what it does, you know, Frank, is that it's sort of rebalancing the entire trade pattern among the major countries of the world. USA, China, the European Union, these are the major actors on the world trade scene. Now, if USA says that, fine, I need to rework the tariffs and I need to raise them, then what will happen is initially, obviously, the countries that have been affected will be at a disadvantage. But what will happen is that the pattern of trade will definitely get distorted. And once that gets distorted, then what will happen is that these countries would either raise prices to be able to, you know, by prices I mean that they would sort of, you know, in the trade with other countries, they would try to, you know, sort of balance it out. And that would mean that the overall global volume of trade, first of all, tends to get shrunk, because obviously it would mean that America would be producing more of its goods from within the country. That's what the president wants.
You know, as far as what the president wants, you know, is he just following up on a poll promise, or is it what is it that he would like to achieve from this?
Clearly, he wants the American companies, America-based companies, to produce more goods which could have been imported at a cheaper cost from abroad. It gives a short-term fillip to employment. It gives a sense of general well-being within the country. But what it does is, by making every good more costlier, those which have been or will be hit by tariffs, what it does is reduces the efficiency of the overall global economy. And to that extent, it actually brings in inflation within USA. It'll bring in costs, inflation within the rest of the countries. So essentially, it leaves everybody poorer in the end.
Sure. And, you know, as far as the Chinese are concerned, can we expect some kind of retaliatory measures from the Chinese? And where is it headed, really?
Well, obviously, China is at a disadvantage because China has got a huge export basket to USA. And they would be, you know, sort of very carefully looking at which are the items where they could be hit further. So what I expect is that that calibration would sort of make them, they already, in fact, they were already, even before Trump came along, China was moving towards high-end engineering goods, high-end other products. So essentially, China would be trying to reduce those sort of imports, exports. To that extent, there is a possibility that, like, other countries in Asia, even India, could pick up the slack in those exports because they have not been hit by tariff. But it is something which, as I said, is not a very very intelligent use of a trade mechanism. And what it would do is essentially make it sure that as night follows day, China would be waiting for a chance to get back at the USA to recoup its losses. And there are various ways. So that would mean that USA would also have to pay back, and then that won't be good for the overall world economy.
All right, Shubho, we'll have to leave it at that. Thank you so much for joining me on the program and putting things into perspective for us. Well, moving on now, the dreaded chief of the Tehreek-e-Taliban Pakistan, Maulana Fazlullah, has been killed in a US drone strike in Afghanistan's restive Kunar province. His death has been confirmed by an Afghan Defense Ministry official on Friday. Reports say that he and his commanders were having an iftar party at a compound near the Pakistan border when a US drone targeted them. Fazlullah was in charge of the Taliban's operations when student activist Malala Yousafzai was shot in 2012. He was also the mastermind of the December 2014 attack on the Army Public School in Peshawar that killed 151 people, including more than 130 children. He was also known as Radio Mullah due to his long sermons on a private radio channel. He was designated as a global terrorist by the US and carried a bounty of $5 million. Well, some sports news now. Losing 20 wickets in a day, Test debutants Afghanistan suffered a crushing defeat by hosts India in just under 2 days in their one-off Bangalore Test. In reply to India's first innings total of 474 runs, Afghanistan were dismissed for 109 runs and 103 runs to lose by an innings and 262 runs. Hashmatullah Shahidi with the 36 was the top scorer for Afghanistan in either innings as all-rounder Ravindra Jadeja finished with the match figures of 6 for 35. It was only the 4th time in Test history that a team has been bowled out twice in a day. It was also the 21st time a Test ended inside 2 days and the first time in India. India pushed on from an overnight score of 347 for 6 to reach 474. Afghanistan, in contrast, batted for just 66.3 overs. Only 4 batsmen reached double figures in the second innings. And now let's bring you all the action from the Football World Cup going on in Russia. Well, Egypt looked on its way to earning a point from its first match of the World Cup against Uruguay with no goals scored till 89 minutes into the match. But a late goal by Jose Maria Gimenez ensured victory and 3 points on the table for Uruguay. The Egyptians defended well throughout, doing everything in its power to stop a talented Uruguay. But it was still not enough to get the result they wanted. Gimenez scored a glorious header in the 89th minute as Uruguay earned a 1-0 win and 3 valuable points in the group. Uruguay could have done better, but its youthful midfield struggled to create. But the connection on a late free kick from Carlos Sanchez got them the desired result. The win puts Uruguay on 3 points in the group, while Egypt has 0 points and is facing a must-win match against Russia in their second game. Well, the top contest between two Iberian rivals, Portugal and Spain, has seldom failed to captivate the audience. The edgy fight is not just between the style and technique of contrasting nature, but the narratives of the history as well. The two will lock horns in a mouth-watering contest of Group B later tonight.
In the two major tournaments, the World Cup and the Euro, may have produced only 4 goals, but the contest has remained red hot between La Roja and Seleção. Spain, the winners of the World Cup in South Africa in 2010, is one of the European powerhouses Portugal, with Real Madrid star Cristiano Ronaldo, are the defending European champions.
Cue the celebration.
For Spain, the tournament began early with an unpleasant off-field event when national coach Julen Lopetegui was fired on the eve of the tournament after he signed up as Real Madrid's next coach, and he was replaced by former skipper Fernando Hierro.
Es una realidad que es imposible cambiar en estos 2 días y se verá la España reconocible, la España que quiere jugar bien, la España que quiere ser protagonista, la España que con nuestras características que la tenemos muy claras. Nosotros no vamos a dudar de ni un ápice de nuestras virtudes, de nuestros conceptos, de lo que representamos y de lo que llevamos haciendo mucho tiempo, ¿no? Esta selección lleva jugando al fútbol muy bien mucho tiempo, la verdad.
Portugal too is suffering from disquiet within, but fans have high hopes from its star-filled lineup led by 5-time Ballon d'Or winner Cristiano Ronaldo, regarded as the best footballer in the world today. The team also has rising stars in young players like Cedric Soares, Bernardo Silva, Bruno Fernandes, among others.
Preparamos para isso, estamos física e mentalmente preparados, a equipa está confiante, sem presunção, porque isso também nunca temos, respeitamos todos os adversários e obviamente uma grande equipa como a Espanha ainda mais, mas com a confiança de que somos capazes, que temos qualidade e que podemos defrontar qualquer adversário sempre com esta ambição natural de procurar vencer o jogo. E é isso que amanhã vamos procurar fazer.
Portugal and Ronaldo's worldwide following has made Seleção at least the favourites in the opening game.
Cristiano Ronaldo is definitely going to play. I think that they don't stand a chance. So, Portugal, most definitely.
But on the other side, Sergio Ramos' side is not to be discounted away with. Fans are rooting for the younger attacking players who have since the last World Cup matured into bigger roles.
Portugal tiene a Cristiano, creo que a nivel individual tiene más jugadores en sus posiciones mejores, creo que Portugal.
As the match kicks off on Friday night, all eyes will be on 33-year-old Ronaldo possibly playing his last World Cup and whether he will be able to add a World Cup victory to his illustrious resume. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
And anyone who saw the match between Egypt and Uruguay will agree that the African nation deserved a point in the end, considering how well they defended. But the late magic from Uruguay was enough to spoil Mo Salah's birthday, which is today. The star was rested for this one, but we are hoping to see him in action soon. Before we go, here are some visuals of Salah in action on the field for his club Liverpool and his country. Here's wishing Mo Salah a very happy birthday.